Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady and principal owner of Everett Tax Solutions, where we help you win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, and when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the small business community. Okay, so I want to talk about continue talking about this case I was talking about in a previous video. This is Letisa Ward versus the IRS and Ward Company versus the IRS. This is an attorney firm that was based in Montana, and the IRS audited both the S Corp and the personal return of the S Corp owner. In the previous video, we talked about the requirements of the S Corp to help you understand what happens on the back end if you don't get it right. And so part of this case also dealt with disallowing expenses. And I really want to share this with you because this is some good stuff to help you understand again what happens. So one of the things during this case is that when they were auditing the S Corp, they went through these expenses and they disallowed some expenses. And so here we go. In tax year 2011, there were expenses of a trip to New York City. The taxpayer, Ms. Ward, said that she took a client to New York City to schmooze the client. Those were the exact words. That was the quote. There was an airline ticket, dining, entertainment, hotel, and parking. Now, Section 162, that allows ordinary and necessary business expenses. But taxpayers, that's us, we have the burden of proving that the expense is ordinary, necessary, and business related. And and you do that by keeping good records, by keeping your receipts and keeping a log of what happened and when. Okay, just claiming the and then what they said in here is just claiming the tax deduction on your return does not make it a valid tax deduction. Okay, you got to have the substantiation. And it says that when a taxpayer fails to substantiate the deductions with precision, like knowing the exact amount, they can estimate certain expenses, but only if you provide some evidence to support the estimates and show how it's connected to your business. Okay. And this is something that really caught my eye. It said that under Section 274, the law, it actually enhanced the substantiation requirements for certain expenses. Those include travel, meals, and entertainment. To deduct these expenses, a taxpayer must substantiate by adequate records or by sufficient evidence the amount, the time and place, and business purposes of the expenditures. Okay, this is why you keep all your receipts. Okay. And under Section 274, it deprives the IRS of any power to estimate those deductions. Now, and for travel expenses, it gets a little bit more specific. You have to show, the taxpayer has to show the amount of each separate expenditure, time of travel, including dates of departure and return, destinations of travel, and business purpose of the travel. This is especially for all y'all go on vacation and write it off as a business expense people. Okay, this is what Section 274 says. And so this says it always means that the taxpayer has to keep some kind of log, notebook or something or statement for the expense, or some kind of way to document what you did, what day you did it, who you did it with, what you did it for, to substantiate these expenses. And so what this person did, Ms. Ward, she showed her bank statements. What have I told you about bank statements? Your bank statements will not suffice. I know a couple of years ago, Grant Cardone, he sat up here and made this video about he don't keep receipts and everything. He got Visa and, American Express and all of that to substantiate his expenses. And a lot of y'all ran with that. Okay. But that's not what the law says. So in this case, she showed her 2011 bank statements, and it showed the airline fee. It showed the restaurant. It showed the hotel. But what it does not show, and what your bank statements do not show, is the business purpose of each expense, or if there was any business purpose at all. Nor can you tell the dates of travel. And so what they're saying is that your bank statements don't give you enough information to meet the requirements of Section 274. So they denied the expense and disallowed the expense. Okay. And then there were other expenses. Now there were contractor payments. Now there was $2,000 of contractor payments for which she showed carbon copies of checks. Here's the problem with canceled checks. If you're going to use a canceled check or a carbon copy of a check to substantiate an expense, you got to have the invoice to go along with it. Just having a carbon copy of a check or a canceled check is not enough, because the canceled check or the copy of a check, it does not show what services were performed to the recipient of those checks, right? So if you write a check to Lysandra Everett and you want to deduct that, but you don't have an invoice from Lysandra showing exactly what I performed, what service I performed, then that expense can get disallowed on audit. So there is no other indication that this was a business related expense. And so without any other evidence, they disallowed the expense. There was also $8,100 worth of office supplies and products. The commissioner only allowed $2,400. Again, because they had bank statements, no receipts. This is why you get the receipts, get them emailed to you, get something besides just a credit card, and you store these things, right? Okay. So, so basically, her fight was, well, it's not like I go shopping at Office Max for personal items, which they were like, okay, yeah, but still out of that $8,100, they only allowed $2,400 and a couple of other things. They did allow another $573 because it was from Office Max, but all of those other ones, you don't have any substantiation. It didn't happen. Now, there was also expenses for things like groceries, in which the Miss Ward said was like coffee, tea, soda, water, candy, chips, kind of like that. Even though the expense was only $1,200, again, it got disallowed. Why? Because she didn't have legible receipts. Okay, so you get these receipts, especially the thermal ones, they fade really fast. So make copies of those receipts so that you can keep the print, right? But better than that, if you can get your receipts emailed to you, have an email set up just for your receipts, or you scan those receipts as soon as you get them or something so that you can actually read the receipt and see what happened, okay? But because she had no other records of the expenses, it was disallowed, because groceries, which is very common, is a non-deductible personal expense. So they disallowed it. She didn't have the receipts. It was tossed out. They originally had some membership expenses. The commissioner allowed most of those. It was like $5,500 in membership expenses, and the commissioner allowed $4,300. What else? Oh, and then there was an insurance expense that was on the bank statement, but still no receipts. So with no other substantiation, no receipt, no invoice, no nothing, they denied this deduction. Okay. So the lesson here is keep all of your receipts. Number one. Okay. If you get the thermal receipts, make a copy, scan the receipt, something so that you have a clear, legible copy of the receipt. Now, mind you, this case started back in 2015, and here we are 2021, just getting a decision. Now, and the years that were audited were 2011 to 2013. Okay. So 2011 is when this started. It's 2021, right? 10 years. So this is what I'm saying when I tell you to keep your stuff forever, this is what I mean. Because if you don't have the receipts to show that you have a valid business purchase, showing what you purchased, the date you purchased, what you purchased it for, and all of that, if you don't have that information to prove your innocence, then you're guilty, right? And those expenses are going to get disallowed. the other thing in all of this is just really knowing what you're doing, because she made a lot of mistakes here where if she had consulted with the competent tax professional in the beginning, could have been avoided. All right. This going on vacation and calling it a business trip. Okay, good luck with that in the event that you get audited. What else is in here? This was really a great case, and I will again post the link so that you all can go and read it. But as much as we as tax professionals try to tell you the things that you need and how to prepare your return, I teach my clients to prepare their returns, keep their documentation as if they knew they were going to get audited tomorrow. Because this chick, her tomorrow came. And to put it all together, so her S Corp was audited, right? Now that she has expenses disallowed, that's going to be more expenses that were then passed on through to her personal return that she's going to have to pay taxes on. Because she had income that was reclassified, she said there was distributions, and the IRS said no, they were not. They should have been wages, and so you owe employment tax on all of that. She's going to have to go back and resolve all of those years, 2011 through 2013. And again, all the penalties and interest and all of that rack up with that, she's going to need some representation to get that settled. And so think about this. We tell you to schedule a consultation, right? Schedule a consultation may cost you $300 for an hour. I bet you any amount of money she would have loved to be able to go back and pay $300 for a consultation right now versus all of the time that she has spent on this, paying for all the time that she's had wrapped up in this. If she's had an attorney working for her, if the money that she's going to have to pay back, suddenly that $300 is nothing. It is a drop in the bucket. This is why we tell you to pay for the consultation, because fixing it on the back end is going to be exponentially more, as this lady is going to find out. Okay. So I hope that gives you some insight, something to chew on, some lessons to learn, and how you can do your business better. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.